Nearly 2 decades in the sports broadcast game, and what a ride it's been. Interviews with the 42nd president, Bill Clinton, to Lakers legends Kobe Bryant and the NBA's all-time leading scorer, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, to name a few. I've been blessed to cover and tell some amazing stories, but there were so many more I didn't get to tell. Thanks for tuning in to Untold Truths with Telly. My guest is fresh off guiding the University of Houston to his first Final Four since 1984, which is just the latest accomplishment in his illustrious coaching career. I'm pleased to welcome Houston Cougars head coach, Kelvin Sampson. Coach, thanks for joining the show. I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, Telly, you and I have been good friends for a long time, and I heard about the Untold Truths podcast, and couldn't wait to get on with you, brother.
I appreciate it, sir. All right, Coach, let's get right to it. What a run you and your squad had before succumbing to the eventual national champion Baylor Bears. Now that you've had a little time to process the entire tournament and the season, how special was this season and the group of guys you had this run with?
Started at 357 to play for 1 of 68. You go from 68 to 32, 32 to 16, 16 to 8, 8 to 4. And when you get to the Final Four, Telly, it's such a feeling of accomplishment because you know how good the other teams are. You know how so many great teams didn't get a chance to get to the Final Four. And no matter how you got there, no matter who you beat, it's always going to be a tough road. But what a tremendous accomplishment for this group of kids that I was lucky enough to coach this year.
And I was fortunate enough to attend a practice back in November when there was tremendous amount of uncertainty if the season would even be played out. But I do recall you telling me, Telly, I like this team. At what point throughout the season did you realize and understand that this is a team that could actually compete for a national championship?
After the Texas Tech game, Telly, I knew we were going to be pretty good. Because those were two good teams we played, and we beat them handily. Then COVID hit us like it hit most teams, and we were kind of out of pocket, hit or miss. 2 guys in today, 4 guys out, 5 guys out today. 3 guys that came off COVID yesterday are going to set out practice today. That was a challenging time. So, but I knew early on this team had a chance to be pretty good.
Well, Coach, I'm not just saying this because you're a personal friend of mine, but you're really the DJ Khaled of college basketball. All you do is win, 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 no matter what, wherever you go. You just completed your 7th season at Houston. You have 6 20-win seasons, 2 AAC Coaches of the Year honors, a Sweet 16 appearance, and a Final Four appearance. What has been the key to your success building programs that can compete on the national level?
I knew that was something that we could do, but we had to get people to believe in it, and it started with facilities. We didn't have a practice facility. That's how far back they were. Our arena was the same arena they built in 1969. Not a whole lot had been done with it. We still had the same scoreboard, honest to God. So the facilities were bad. Apathy was bad. But you know what? That didn't scare me. You can fix that. The guy that owns the Houston Rockets, Tillman Fertitta, bought in. He wrote us a check for $20 million to put his name on the refurbished, remodeled Fertitta Center, which became our new home. Beautiful, beautiful arena. Then we built a $25-30 million practice facility that we named the Guy B. Lewis Development Center. And so everything we have, our women's team has. So now we each have the space to grow and develop our own program. So once we got the facilities, the recruiting picked up. But you know, Telly, coaches and players win games. Administrations win championships. You can't get to the Final Four unless the administration supports you facility-wise, salary-wise, gives you anything you need to win. And the administration here at University of Houston has been great to me. I've asked for a lot of things. I've held their feet to the fire about a lot of things. They've not said no about one thing, because everything that we've done is to put this program in the best position to be successful.
Now let's go back to your humble beginnings. Now you played high school basketball for your father in Pembroke, North Carolina. At what point did you realize that coaching was going to be your calling? And outside of your dad, who did you look up to and who served as mentors for you on your journey to get to where you are?
Well, I grew up in the segregated South. So racism was alive and well where I'm from. You know, worked at tobacco markets with my dad. He was a high school basketball coach, but he only had a 9-month contract. So the other 3 months he had to go find work, you know, support his family. You know, you have 4 kids and a wife. My mother worked full time. My dad sold World Book encyclopedias. He sold insurance. He taught driver's ed, and he worked at tobacco market. Tobacco market is where I found out how racist the area that I grew up in was. It was 3 different water fountains, white, colored, and other. Same with the bathrooms.
Wow.
The KKK was prevalent in that area. There was a big clash that was historic in the area that I grew up in. But all that is, my dad was the coach, the high school coach. People looked up to him. He made a difference in those kids' lives. Whether it's being a father figure, taking them home, giving them money, feeding them, clothing them. He did that for almost every kid in his team because a lot of those kids were poor. Mm-hmm. But he was the coach, and I saw the impact he had on those lives. That's what made me want to get into coaching. Was that I didn't know anything about money or power or TV or any of that stuff. I just knew that if you were a coach, you could really make a difference in kids' lives. And that really, really motivated me to be a coach. I had 2 tremendous mentors growing up. One was my dad, who mentored me all the way through grad school and even to the day he died. And then Judd Heathcote, to the day he died. They both were instrumental in my success. You know, like, you're good at what you do, Telly, but there's somebody that helped you along the way. You know, yes. the success that I've had in the programs that we've had, you owe it to somebody. And that's why you have a responsibility to pay things forward. You know, continue to help people, continue to give people opportunities the best you can. And because of the way my dad was and the impact he had on his players and impact Judd had on his team and his assistants, I feel an obligation to continue to help people because of how much they helped me.
Well, you definitely had coaching in your heart because, as you just mentioned, you took your first job at Montana Tech in 1981. And that first season, I'm sure I don't have to remind you, but you went 7-20. And then that following season, you ended up going 22-9. And overall, you had 3 20-plus win seasons out of the 4 seasons you were at Montana Tech. But I got to ask, as a young man, and you go 7-20 in your first season, were there any doubts after that first season thinking like, okay, did I pick the right profession? Or you knew in a matter of time, you would be able to turn things around, which you were able to do that following season?
Well, I was only 24 years old. So I didn't know what I didn't know. And we weren't 7-20. We were 4-23. We got 3 forfeit wins when the season was over. I won more games in 5 minutes than I damn near did the whole year. So we went from 4-23 to 7-20 with a phone call. I said, dang, I get another phone. I get a couple of phone calls. We're going to get to 500 here. But I was at a school that I was allowed to fail at. They had never had a winning season. Okay. If it had been a good job, they would have never hired me.
Yeah.
No, they had nothing to lose. I was there as an assistant coach. The head coach was the JV coach at Michigan State, and he was gracious enough to take me with him as the assistant the year before. So I was with him the year before that. So he left, and they named me the interim coach. I wasn't even the head coach. I was the interim coach, but I was only 24 and I turned 25 that year. Um, um, I didn't know what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I knew how to coach a team, but I didn't know how to coach a team. I was too young.
Mm-hmm.
I did my best, but I learned a lot. Um, I found out you better go recruit some players. I figured that one out quick. And so the next year we won the league championship. It's not only their first championship, it was their first winning season. And
Wow.
then we did it again the next year. And then we did it again the next year. And then by my fourth year, that third championship, I was also the athletic director. So
Wow.
I went in as a part-time stipend. I was getting a stipend, a really low. I'm not going to tell you how much I got because you wouldn't believe it. I got a stipend that first year, and my wife and I lived in married student housing, and I got to live rent free because I was in charge of cleaning apartments. When people would move out, I'd go clean the apartment so someone could move in.
Couple more questions for you, Coach. This is great stuff. After you left Montana Tech, 7 seasons at Washington State before a 12-year run at Oklahoma, where 10 of those 12 seasons you posted 20 or more wins. Then a 2-year stint at Indiana, where in 2008 you resigned after some alleged NCAA infractions. I imagine that was a difficult time in your career, but when you reflect back, what was the biggest lesson you learned out of that situation?
That there's always a silver lining in everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
The silver lining for me was the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And that good things will happen to good people. It's amazing how many people will judge you without knowing you. They'll just say, they'll make a statement and put a period at the end without knowing you. I don't know very many people that don't make mistakes, yet it's amazing how many people will judge other people and hold them to a different standard than they will hold themselves. But I look at every situation as learning and growing. We all make mistakes. We have to pay for those mistakes sometime. And you admit you made the mistakes, hold yourself accountable, move forward.
Last one for you, Coach. And clearly coaching has been your life's work, and basketball is in the bloodline. Your son, Kelvin, is on your staff as an assistant. Your daughter, Lauren, works in the basketball administration at the University of Houston. What would be the ideal send-off once you decide that you want to hang up your whistle?
Wow. I think what Roy Williams from North Carolina is a good friend of mine. I've known Roy for 35 years. I think just one day, just wake up and say, you know what, have a hand in choosing your successor. But just very quietly fade off into the sunset, because it'll come a time, it'll be somebody else's turn. You do the best you can, help as many people as you can, impact as many lives positively as you can while you can. And then you just step aside and let someone else do it. The one thing that all coaches have in common is that we become ex-coaches. What we can't predict or determine is how we become an ex-coach.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm at the point in my career where I've got some years left in me, not very many. Next year will be my 33rd year as a head coach. That's a long time. It's a long time. And there'll come a time when it's time. I may not be doing as good a job as I think I should or could, but I will know that, and I'm not going to overstay. I'm not going to overstay my stay. I've given my life to this sport. It's made me laugh. It's made me cry, but it's also enriched me in ways that I could never have imagined. But this game has done far more for me than I could ever do for it.
Well, Coach, with that is well said. And with that being said, I'm going to let you get out of here. But I know for a fact retirement is a long ways away from you right now. I mean, I know you that passion is still burning and is burning and is continuing to burn. And Coach, I can't thank you enough for taking the time. I'm sure it's back to the recruiting trail for you. And I know we're going to see the University of Houston amongst the elite programs in the country for years to come. Coach, I really appreciate you joining Untold Truths with Telly.
Untold Truths with Telly was a lot of fun. It's always good to spend time. My good friend Telly Hughes. Wishing you all the best, brother. Let's stay in touch.